This is Jill Connors, and welcome to Countdown to Praise. We're at a special event today in Los Angeles at the Staples Center for Verizon's How Sweet the Sound Gospel Competition.
The Thompson Community Singers.
Right.
Let me see here. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit more contemporary, and I remember all the choirs, but I'm going to go with New York Community Choir.
Oh. Right. Right. And I think mine is a toss-up between Hezekiah's choir and John P. Key for me.
Yeah, there you go. I forgot. Yeah, that is.
Well, I was actually in the choir that influenced me, the Southeast Inspirational Choir, because without them, you wouldn't be seeing me today, you know, like this. You'd probably see me somewhere else, you know, taking over. But, like, yes, right.
Wow. I would say for me, probably it was a very contemporary choir in New York called Benny Cummings and King's Temple. I would say him and the Whitfield Company. Whitfield Company vocally, just their blend, natural blend for me was just amazing to me, you know.
I would have to say the Institutional Radio Choir out of Brooklyn, New York.
Yes.
And I know everybody has something to say on this one, but you got to think about it. Even though this is a competition unlike, you know, Idol or X or Voice. This, you know, even if the choir doesn't win first place, people get ministered to. You know, and you never know who is in the audience that may hear the person that don't come in first or even third or fourth. They may come in dead last, but they had the song that person needed to take away. So it's a definite win, you know, but this is the transition. This is a good transition for choirs and the message for the night.
They see community, they see togetherness, they see other young people in the choir. I mean, my daughter's 8 and she's here tonight, and she's looking and seeing, and, you know, Mommy, could I be in a choir? You know, it's a lot of things that they see and pay attention to, because even if you watch some of the kid channels, everybody wants to be a superstar and a superstar alone. So to learn togetherness and unity and camaraderie and hard work, and to see that, it can only benefit younger people.
Biggest challenge. You know, sometimes it gets really tight between 2 or 3. And we have to, and because we're all kind of, you know, we'll lean over and say, who did you feel? And, you know, because it's not necessarily a private voting thing where, you know, you don't know my score, I don't know your score. We take into account, and then we'll go back and forth and say, yeah, but, you know, yeah, they did this. Yeah, but did you think about that? Oh, well, then they. And so, you know, when they get real tight in between them, and there is no real determining factor, like, you know, then it gets real tight. That's the challenge, you know. And then, oh, here's another one. Finding when you don't have one that's just as at the top of their game as the rest of them, trying to remain positive. And you know, because this is not, we're not trying to tear we're not trying to tear anybody down, but you know, sometimes we have to defer to nice shoes.
Great robes.
Great robes.
Yeah, great robes.
The band was hot. The band was really hot.
As a judge, it's been pretty hard because we've had some great choirs that have come to the stage and they were just great. And you know, it's hard to kind of pick between the actual vocals or the performances. And when you put them together, you just really can't pick.
Well, I definitely think this has brought the choir, not that it went away, it put the eyes and attention back on the choir because it's been such a big, you know, this has been just such a big brand push for Verizon and put it everywhere. I think it also made other corporate sponsors not be afraid to attach themselves to something faith-based. It also I think a lot of people know that the choir can kind of work in a lot of areas, not necessarily just the church, but with the country singer, with the rock singer, with the commercial, with the car ad, because the Chrysler ad was done by one of the regional winners of How Sweet the Sound, and that's kind of how Eminem saw them, and that whole thing went together. So I think it did that. As far as is it representative of everything we see out there? Absolutely. Especially this time that we opened it up for community choirs, university choirs. Oh, absolutely. The community choirs is what we really see. Like, I mean, in Chicago, the Detroit show was phenomenal. The Chicago show was where you got true Chicago choir, no ifs and buts about it. It was strong. It was really, really strong. Yeah.
We say all the time that when you do something inspirational and positive, people latch on to it. Sometimes it takes a while, but eventually they say, oh, they're not going anywhere. So I do see it as catapulting and building choir brands and more choir recording artists, because ultimately that is what we strive to do, is to show the excellence of them, and now we have a vehicle that will express that. So I think that's the main goal, is to let them know that we're not going to let what radio is trying to do, let choirs die, because I mean, hey, you can't let that happen. And I mean, not to talk too much about it, but Bishop Hezekiah, his choir has always represented at the Grammys. They've backed up every artist. I mean, from Bono to Sting to, I mean, you name them, they've done it. Puffy. I mean, where do you get one choir that has graced all genres? And you always need the choir, just like we always need God. You always need the choir, because it's the best representation of gospel music.
Have gotten, too much into the moves, and then a lot of times the good choirs can do the moves, can do just the right amount of moves and stay in the mic. But another choir will be so more in the moves, and they're just so busy doing the move, and so we see that, and it can take away,
Especially when you become so committed to the move that you forgot about the lyric. See, I think that choreography is never too much if you commit to the lyric, and the choreography accompanies the lyric. That. But the minute you forget about the lyrical content, then it's like it's two languages going on at the same time. But if you make the choreography the same language of the lyric, then it's never too much, because it's all the same sentence. And that's kind of usually what happens when you see staged Broadway shows or musical theater thing. Everything works within to make the same statement. It's just when they start fighting with each other, that's when I think it kind of goes away.
The message is so important. And when you lose the message because of the movements and because of the presentation, it loses the whole essence of why we do this.
I was going to say, I think the determining factor for most of the choirs has been the power of God. The ones that really shake up the room, no matter how good your moves are, how good your clothes are. If everybody can't pull it together after you finish singing because you have ushered in the presence so awesome, then it's kind of like, how do you not say this is a winning choir?
Exactly right.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah. I do this all day, every day. Ready? Let me know.
Whenever you're ready.
Hey, we're the cast of How Sweet the Sound,
And you're watching
Countdown to Praise. I said How Down to Praise.
How down?
How down. Ready? How down. Hey, we're the cast of How Sweet the Sound,
and you're watching
Countdown to Praise.